Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Tonight, we visit a circuit that was built to provide a Daytona-style home for NASCAR racing in North Carolina. By any standards, it has succeeded, becoming a fixture of its calendar since the 1960s. It's time for round 11 and the penultimate round of the SRF Weekend Warriors presented by RaceVoice from the Charlotte Motor Speedway. We're on the Roval tonight and, well, sure we won't be roving for any action whatsoever. It's going to be a hotly contested evening. With myself, Tim Cox, we've got Jonathan Grabowski in the virtual race trailer, but as always, I'm joined by Andy Thompson. Andy, last time out, Monza on the junior circuit, I don't think we could have physically got a closer finish. As we crossed the line, it flagged up as being a dead heat.
Yeah, it did. Good evening, Tim. Good evening, viewers. Monza was an exceptional race. It looks a very, very dull track if you just looked at the track layout, but nothing was further from the truth. I mean, we had that incident in the opening lap rounds, turn 1 and 3, that caused half the field pretty much to come to a standstill. But then, as the race progressed through the 40 minutes, we just had action-packed cars taking over that back straight. And the start-finish line providing some excellent slipstream effect, and here tonight is going to be absolutely no different, with the huge banking sections sort of bookended by 2 bus stops. Is going to be an absolute hotbed of action here tonight, so I'm really looking forward to it, Tim.
We are indeed. Qualifying well underway, but halfway through right now. Aeronom currently holding provisional pole only by just over 100th of a second over Brandon Roseborough, a name that we haven't seen enough, in my opinion, this season. Great to have him back. He'll be there fighting in the front with the likes of Nicelli, Pinero, Lynn, Antonio Rice. Well, he was on for an absolute barnstormer last round. It could have been the first time we had a Masters driver clinch the overall victory, but poor time pit stop really cost him dearly. But so far he's going strong in qualifying so far, currently in 6th, third row of the grid with all the key names. Can he take the fight to the big names and secure that victory that we've been looking for? Well, he has success on the Roval circuit. 2 seasons ago he's put on the front row at Daytona. So we see him right now in the 914 machine. Can he do it? Can this be the night where it all comes together for the Portuguese driver? We've not long to find out as Castro, Dudu Castro, where has that come from? Heading up into fourth, second row of the grid for him. That's an astounding qualifying from the Brazilians so far. Also, we've got Bradshaw running well 12th, second for the Masters, and Batley currently third. He's down in 16th. Lesnoy in Spec 2. He's leading qualifying in that section. He's 13th overall. And McCain running 17th. I was covering a race that McCain was in on Friday night in GT4s, and well, he had a cracking finish there. I'm sure he's looking to carry on that form across into what the season has maybe not been the best for him by his own personal standards. And let's just take a little look at the championship standings and how these stand just before we really get into the exciting part of qualification. And Naselli leading the way over his teammate Marco Pinero, exactly 10 points the difference between those two. Now they have hit their maximum 9 best finishes, so the only way they can increase points for those two if they improve on their worst finishes this season. Aeronom still has an extra race in the bag, so that gap is a little bit fictitious. So at 764 he will close right up onto the back of them and looking to make it his third victory in a row for championship even. As Yugmani, he is just getting kind of drift now in fourth. Lynn as well. Haven't seen him all season. If we hadn't done, I think he would have been up there fighting with everyone. Green, Richard Lanoy, Mayer and Smiles going to round out your top 10. Well, let's have a little look across into Spec 2 and Lesnoy. Well, he's been dominant all season, really. 522 points and a healthy margin of nearly 40 points between himself and Flavio Andalo. But Flavio does have that extra race in his pocket. So, again, that gap will close up. McCain, third overall in the championships on 445 with, what's some 22 points, so 32 points even behind him is Paul Jackson, who's had a cracking season by his standards. Fabini fifth, and Hanson Gibson, Trespadini, Warbolt, Cloud, and Sanchinelli. And they'll round out to your top, well, 11 there. Got a bit carried away. Into Masters, well, Haraski, he's been dominant this season. A championship that has been dominated by Chris Murakami for the last 2 seasons, really. But it is all about Haraski and Antonio Rice. I tell you what, he's got a couple of races left in the bag, so that gap is going to shrink over these next 2 rounds. It's going to be interesting. He's got a real strong chance of clinching the title. Tom Gradwell, he is in third, with Burkitt only 11 points behind him, with Batley then 2 points behind Burkitt. It's really tight. That last of the podium finishes in the championship, with Bradshaw second, Kern Brewster, Stevie Ray and Kurt Nunez rounding out your top 10, and Murakami all the way down in 13th. We haven't seen him all season, and that's why he's well down in the standings. And even then, hasn't that really had the best of runs this term. I'm sure he'll be back with a bang next season. And Naselli just heading in front of Nom right now. We have got around about 5 3/4 minutes left of qualifying. And we know full well, don't we, Andy, these times will only improve and those gaps will shrink even more so. I mean, Rosebery and Castro, there's only 3 thousandths of a second separating those two. This is what it's like in Weekend Warriors. We don't do seconds, we don't even do tenths, we don't even really do hundredths of a second. We deal in thousandths of a second here, and that is how close and competitive this championship is.
It certainly is, and it's going to be an action-packed race. I mean, the big thing about the qualifying, they're all out on track at the same time, so it's going to be super valuable to get that slipstream effect from the car in front. Certainly coming around the 2 outer banks when we come on to the oval circuits, you know, to get that slipstream effect, that's probably worth a couple of tenths of a second. I mean, the timing on the timing tower is super close, considering there's quite a long lap around here. It's very close again in the timing tower. But you were talking about Antonio Rees. I mean, he's still got a points to score. He'll be closing up very closely on Haraski. And Haraski is, I don't believe he's actually here tonight. I've not seen him on the timing tower. So, you know, that gap at the top of the mass is going to be extremely close. And if it wasn't for his probably mistimed pit stop at the last round, Antonio Rees was really competitive out amongst the top pro drivers. Aero Nom has that round in his bag, and like you said, it will be extremely close. And I think a lot of these championships are actually going to come down to the last race of the season, which is going to make it all the more exciting.
You're not wrong there, Andy. You're not wrong there, indeed. And ticking down, and not really too many people out there improving right now. Of course, the Roval version of this circuit measures in at 2.2 miles long. That's 3.7 kilometers, and it's home to, when it was built, the largest HD TV screen in the world. And got a drop in there. A nice little fact, as I know you all love them at home, and not long left. And big shout out as well to our season sponsor. I say season sponsor, they've just supported us for so many seasons, have RaceVoice, and thank you very much for their kind support of this championship. They have a simple way to transform complicated performance data into easy to understand voice and notification and alerts. They have over 16 different notifications, including up and down shift, overrun alerts, corner entry, turn in and exit speed, to provide immediate feedback on driver and vehicle performance. As time ticking down now, just approaching 2.5 minutes left in qualifying. Andy, what's going to be like on these opening laps? I mean, I'm sure it's not going to be quite as treacherous as last time out we saw at Monza, but it is almost street circuit-esque, this first sort of section with walls on either side of the track and, well, right up against the edge of the tracks as well. And I think if you're going to see one mistake, it could prove to be treacherous for following cars behind.
Yeah, it certainly will be. I mean, we look at the track itself. That opening lap is going to be treacherous. Certainly the first sector, that first and second turn is comes extremely quick after the start-finish line. So, you know, that's a tricky corner to get through. And then you've got the sort of downhill corner of turn number 2, that if a car does have an incident there with the close proximity of this grid and the size of this grid, if there is a car that spins around turn number 2 towards the mid-pack or the front end of the field, it could cause carnage down the rest of the field. So certainly turn 1s and 2, and the infield section of this track is a bit tricky. There's a lot of high-speed corners that if you get them slightly wrong, you can get pushed out. I mean, you see here the car's coming around turn number 3 and then coming around into the quite tricky section uphill section before they come out into turn number 8 onto the outside of the oval for the first time, and then it'll sort of calm down, and then that's where the slipstream are going to be coming into effect. So it's going to be extremely tricky on the infield, and then you've got the 2 bus stops as well. It's going to be a prime opportunity to make them passing moves, certainly after all the slipstream they're going to gain from going around the banking section of this track. So there's so many different places that cars could make their moves, but certainly on that infield, Tim, is probably one just bide your time and wait for the outside on the oval track to make your moves.
Just on board with Andres Bertoni right now. Perennial poor qualifier, great starter. What can he achieve tonight? 30 seconds left in qualifying. Nom, he has taken provisional poles while we were chatting away there. Tony diving into the pits, looking to start from the back again by the looks of things, so he won't get another lap in. And in fact, having all of his time deleted as well, so the best of qualifyings for him, but no different to what we've seen. Pretty much quite really. Likewise, his fellow South American Mino will be starting at the back with him as Walker. Wow, great lap from the Canadian there in the 96 machine. He goes third, displacing Brandon Roseborough. Those two are starting for the second row of the grid. And right now, Antonio Rice down to 9th. His highest qualifier in Masters still. Lesnoy still highest qualifier in Spec 2, but he's down all the way down in 16th. and also has McCain, Hansen and Vogel all really right behind him. So that's going to be a nervous first few laps for him. As these Rice has a comfortable 5-place gap between himself and Adam Bradshaw, who's the second highest qualifier in the Masters category. But checker flag is out. We are coming to the end of qualifying. Drivers able to complete out their final laps. And who is going to improve? I can't really see too many improvements going on out there, Andy. So, dare I say it, I think we may well potentially be done and dusted. Roseborough going for one final attempt. It's going to be interesting to see what he can try and pluck out the bag. Was on the front row early on, provisionally, as he bounces across the curves there and skims the wall. Really getting the car straightened up before heading around the last section of banking through 13 and 14 before you dive down into this final bus stop chicane. But no, he abandons that lap. That is him done and dusted in qualifying. He's going to start from 5th place on the grid and displaced by Dudu Castro at the dying depths there and moves down a row. So he'll be on the 3rd row. I'll tell you what, some real drivers out there who've really performed in qualifying, Walker and Castro, being those two that I'm really alluding to there, Andy.
Yeah, definitely. Not normally see them at the front end of the grid, but they had an exceptional qualifying session. We talked about Antonio Reese there in 9th place, 6 places ahead of his nearest rival Bradshaw there. So he is in a good position at the back of some extremely fast pro drivers of Lynn, Marnie and Pinero. So we'll be getting some decent tow on this first lap, so we'll probably see him come up a few places. But certainly the man to watch in the Masters there, Antonio Reese, and let's see if he can get up the field and maybe take that first Masters win.
Wow, it remains to be seen. Let's take a look through your grid. Arrow not clinching pole and Sully joining him on the front row. Walker and Castro, great qualifying from those two to be on the 2nd row of the grid. Brandon Roseborough, great to see him back once again. He starts from the 3rd row with Jorg Marnie. Marco Pinero, disappointing for him in terms of qualifying, well behind his teammate Nicelli. He starts alongside Yang Ji Lin. Antonio Rice, highest in Masters in 9th, with Jerry McAreevy joining him on the 5th row and rounding out your top 10. Then it's Matthias Weiger and Jesus Rodriguez on the 6th row of the grid. 7th row, Jason Green and Adam Bradshaw with Fritcher and highest qualifier Inspector Lesnoy starting from the 8th row. The 9th row, that is a friend Vandro Dantas and Ken Batley with McCain and Hansen, the all-specs to row 10 and running out your top 20. That's Aaron Mogley, Luca Nanoy, Marcus Burkett and Paolo Gori looking up to 24th place. With Megan Overstreet joined us for her first race of the season last time out at Monza. Bradwell, interesting how she gets on the Roval today. John Wilson lines up alongside her with Kurt Nunes and Tom Gradwell. Love and Sanchinelli taking it to 30th place and row 15. Stevie Ray starts alongside Yuri Cox, Jeff Cantor and Jose Santiago, the Rican driver. Good to see him back in the championship. Gary Walbot has Bob Kern for company with Miguel Gomez, Darren Kuhn, Joaquin Effinger and Tres Bertoni running out your top 40 and 20th row of the grid with Jonathan Gaston, Richard Kofi and Graham Bowley all not setting times. Likewise, Bertoni not getting one either. So 4 drivers not setting times. That rounds out your 43 car grid here. We get away behind the Porsche 911 safety car and a few drivers just a bit slow getting away there. I think it was James Walker not quite getting away and reacting to everyone else, and a bit of confusion there, but still plenty of time to catch up and sort themselves out as the event just got underway. Andy, if you're one of these guys, of course, big grid, you've got to have eyes, you know, not just in front of your head, not just in the back of your head, to the side, full 360 panoramic vision to try and avoid incidents, chaos, and what's going on around you. How do you play this one?
I mean, there it is. I mean, there's 2 ways of playing it. You can either be try to be super aggressive, but there's, like you said, there's cars all over the field, certainly on this first lap and around these first 2 corners, which could come off worse. I mean, it is quite a long race. It's 40 minutes, and you really don't want to be losing it in the first couple of corners here. I mean, it's going to be more congested in that midfield. Obviously, if you're at the front or at the back, you can take your time a little bit, be a little bit more cautious, and expect some cars to spin off in front of you. But that mid-pack, you're right in the grindstone there. You know, you've got nowhere to go. You've just got to go for it and hopefully come off the best. But one thing I do love about this track is that start. I mean, it's just such a NASCAR start, isn't it? Typical start there, you know, only track that does that with the cars all lined up like a Le Mans style start. Always a great to see down there, but it's going to be a super interesting race. In this first lap, I mean, I've said it probably all season, is, you know, so easy to lose it on the first lap with cold tires, and this is one of the tracks as well, with that first corner being so close after the start finish, that we could see a few incidents there.
We could do indeed, and I think it's going to be an interesting, maybe slightly treacherous opening start. Definitely Monza still fresh in the memory of so many of our drivers, and they'll be looking to avoid a carbon copy repeat of what we saw there with, like he was saying earlier, I think it's even more, I think it was being a bit kind of saying half the grid, I think it was more close towards 2/3. Getting caught up in that incident where the car narrows up between turns 1 and 3. It's the same sort of start here at the Roval, and everyone sure trying to avoid it. There is one little rule that has come into play for this round, of course, being on a Roval and having been on that bank section, the drivers are not allowed more than 2 tyres over the blue line on the oval, with the exception of coming onto the oval. So that's going to be one to watch out for as they come into the final chicane. And let's get ready to go racing in the penultimate round of the SRF Weekend Warriors, as we are green, green, green. And it's a great start from Walker, trying to squeeze up the inside. Naselli has to dip back in once again. Marnie has displaced Roseborough for 5th place, but everyone making it away nice and clean in these early stages. But Tony already up 7 places. That's an amazing start from the Uruguayan. Up into 33rd. Didn't set a climbing qualifying Antonio Race, having a bit of a look in the background there at the inside of Yang Shi Lin, giving him something to think about. Through this tricky blind entry into turn 6, where he swooped down immediately into 7. Undulating like a roller coaster up and down as the cars head out onto the oval section for the first time tonight. And here we go, building the momentum, building the speed on the run down to turn 11, the bus stop chicane. Are we going to see a move from anyone, or are they going to remain as they are? But here comes Naselli up the inside of Aeronom to take control of the race and take the lead. No, he's locked it up. It's all gone wrong for Naselli, and he falls down through the order, and he comes out behind his teammate. Oh, as there's someone off, there's Antonio Rice. He's off in the wall, and he's getting going once again, but he's lost a ton of places there, hasn't he, Andy?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, that parallel slipstream just caught a few of the drivers out, just missed their braking area into these bus stops, and it's going to be a prime spot for incidents like that on there. These curbs as well on the bus stops are going to be treacherous, and blue curbs on the inside. If you hit that, it's going to be off, but you can just sort of here see what happened to Reese. Oh, he literally so close to... Oh, he just spun it after the first exit, so managed to keep it, but then lost it, and then he was in no man's land, ran the wrong way, and literally just had to wait for the rest of the field to come through. So a little bit of a terrible mistake there from the first lap around this track. So yeah, well down the field now is Antonio Reese. Has got some few places to be made up.
Most certainly has. Mina's had a great start. He's up 10 places right now, as we see Hansen, really your leader in Spec 2. He's had a good start. We said about Lesnoy, had to be careful, had all of his rivals in the championship right behind him on the grid, and he hasn't got the start that he would have wanted. He's down 2 places behind Hansen and McCain as Nom retakes the lead from Dudu Castro. Where has he come from? He's onto a Flores. Nom runs wide. He runs it in too deep, and he's going to lose one place to Castro. And I think he's going to lose another one. Just round the outside comes James Walker, the Canadian, absolutely flying wide, but don't discredit York Marnie. He's tucking into the slipstream. He's probably going to push Walker along as we race in towards the bus stop, hard onto the brakes, and Nom lives to fight another day, clings hold of second place, but look at the speed York Marnie's got off the line. Wow, the Swiss driver is gonna snatch away from Walker as there's been another race. Oh, Bradshaw's caught up in that as well, in the 929 machine, and there was another driver. I think it's Jason Green is the other one caught up in that. Wow, you said about Andy, the danger of cold tyres, those curbs, early stages of the race, as there's Walker getting past your Marnie to reclaim third place, but you called it, Andy, you absolutely called it right, and we've seen two big incidents.
Yeah, let's have a look at the replay here between Green. So coming into the last bus stop, just going late on the brakes a little bit. Oh, a little bit of contact coming in on the exit, which unfortunately the 160 gets spun around by the 929. But, you know, that's one of the things that drivers should be aware of, is when that slipstream effect is so strong coming into these cars. I mean, they're in that slipstream for a long time coming down to these bus stops, and that is where the, you know, the passengers always we see. Oh, God, who was that? Was that Maselli there just going cross country?
It was indeed, absolutely launching it across the curb. So he's going to lose 1, 2, potentially even 3 places. We're 3 wide on the banking. Lynn gets past. So does Roseborough too, as he's going to lose, well, even more places. Weiger trying to vie to get away past us. He lunges it in and gets the move done in spectacular fashion. I'll tell you what, Pritchard's having a good go as well onto the back of him, as we're almost going 4 wide into turn 1, and somehow they all make it in together. Oh, Andy, how the hell did they manage that one?
Oh, I have no idea. They were. Oh, it's a massive crash here. Who is involved in that? That is Edgar. There's quite a few drivers here coming out. This is coming out of that last bus stop there. Looks like where the issue's been caused, and it's just spilled over into the start finish. I mean, there's absolutely nothing left of that Spec Racer Ford there. You can't even see the number of the car. Quite a few of the cars here got a lot of damage. So these bus stops are causing oh, there's another issue there. In the background, coming out of turn number 3, coming into 4, and
Santiago,
absolutely poleaxed did Santiago there.
I'll tell you also, look, the 922 there, Ken Batley, he's been in the wars. He got caught up early on with Antonio Rice when he span in the bus stop on the opening lap. But I tell you what, it's action and drama. We've only done 6 minutes, not even that yet, out of the 40. And let's see at the replay, let's take a look at how this all unfolded, and just getting a bit loose. All look okay at the moment. There's Stevie Ray. Oh, wow, he arrived at the scene of the accident, and I think it was Sancinelli as he was trying to rejoin.
Yeah, it looks like he was in front of that big gaggle of drivers coming up, so let's have a look. Oh, there's a car in front spinning, going backwards, and then just poleaxes into the rest of the field coming through. 3, 4, 5, 6 cars there involved in that issue, from the 172 car spinning around there and literally going backwards over the start finish, that caused absolute chaos in that mid pack. And that's one of the things to be obviously aware of this track is, you know, the cars are still extremely close together. We've only done 4 completed laps, and the cars are still relatively close together. So you get that one incident, and you're not, like you said, eyes in the back of your head. You can just get caught out really quickly.
On board from, this is Yuri Cox's perspective. You can see all the smoke, cars flying left, right, centre, and does he avoid everyone? Somehow he does. He has to take to the cross, the Dutchman. But, oh no, and well, just as you think he's made it through, no he doesn't.
He doesn't, no. He got rid of all the carnage and then got tapped into the first corner. I mean, where's your luck? But these bus stops, you're literally rolling a dice in these fields. Like if you're trying an ambitious move going in quite deep, we've seen quite a few drivers get caught out, and that's where all the incidents have been out on track, coming out of that last turn 16 towards the start finish, and obviously the other bus stop coming into turn 10, the start of the first of the bus stops, is where all the action certainly has taken place so far. But Castro out front is having a really good battle with Norm at the moment, out on track. That's quite close by Walker. So that top half of the field been relatively even action packed up the front. We've seen quite a few drivers get them bus stops wrong and see some drivers go further down the field than where they started. I think the first one was Naselli on that opening lap, and then a carbon copy from another driver the next lap. So even the front end of the grid, which we normally see quite clean driving sim, are being caught out by these bus stops. So great addition to this track, and giving the viewers plenty of action out on track.
We're on lap 6. Just going to be on quarter race system. Castro leads from Norm, Walker, Marnie, Panera, Roseville, Lynn, Viger, Friction, Naselli running at top 10. Disappointing start from Naselli. He's lost out big time. It's finally the story of big gains or big losses, as here comes McCain up the inside, looking to make a move on Vogel. Has to back out of it. I'll tell you what, look at the speed he's carrying through the bus stop, and the overspeed on the exit there. Really catching Vogel out as he pulls on to the outside, the high side of the banking, and he's going to be on the inside into the final bus stop. If he can just keep his car pinned there, can he do it as they swoop down into it? Well, he needs to be careful, because here comes the 82 of Wilson, and somehow they all managed to make it through. Well, I thought McCain was on there for the move, but in the end, nearly ended up losing the place. I'll tell you what, further down the field, Bertoni and Gaston, two South Americans I mentioned about before, they've made them 20 places each. Amazing stuff at these opening stages. Antonio Rice, he's into the pits at these early stages. That's just about enough to get himself home. But incredibly early stop there, Andy, from him. And I think that's just trying to repair some of the damage that he incurred earlier.
Yeah, it definitely is. There's been nine cars in the pit so far in this early stages of this race. We have seen in previous races around about this position to be able to still come in, get your fuel and make it to the end of the race. But extremely early pit stops there from quite a few of the drivers, which will put the results probably a little bit suspect until after the round of pit stops, which always adds another flavour. And one of the things with this track is that pit lane entry is on an extremely fast part of the track after turn number 14, coming around the last part of the oval. So it's going to be interesting to see if anybody gets a pit lane. Well,
it's going to be interesting to see. That is Norm getting past Castro for the lead, goes defensive into turn 1 just to cover off the momentum from Castro coming out of the bus stop. He's managed to keep hold of it, not retaking the lead, but I tell you what, Walker and Marnie are coming along for the ride. Also, we've got Panero and Roseborough not too far behind, but I tell you what, Lynn, Viger, Fritcher and Naselli have all really dropped off this lead group. You can see massive amounts of clear air. That's a spinner. I think that's Vogel. And Lesnoy as well, our leader in the championship in Spec 2. He's around as he's trying to get the car turned around in a really well, you called exactly the same word as me at the same time there, Andy. A treacherous part of the circuit. He gets going, but he's going to get swamped and enveloped into this gaggle of cars coming through.
I mean, that was so lucky that he had a little bit of a space there to do like an Austin Powers turn there, but we'll look at what happened on board from Lesnoy's point of view. So he's coming around here to turn number 1. Looks like he gets that corner completely wrong, a bit spooked from the drivers, and then just lose it. They both synchronized the spinning. Obviously, Lesnoy, wrong way round turn number 1, which is a blind corner for the rest of the drivers. Probably very good looking at his relative to give that opportunity to turn around, but was super close to like being engulfed or even getting hit by that challenging pack from behind, but did manage to lose a few more places there coming around turn number 2. But I mean, it's just all action here tonight. I feel sorry for Jonathan trying to give us all the replays out on track. There's just so many of them.
There is. It's hard to know where to look at the best of times, but right now, just to keep you updated on all the various standings, Hansen leading Spec 2, McCain 3rd in class, they're 14th and 16th overall right now with Vogler 19th and 3rd in Spec 2. As for Masters, well, I tell you, it's Andrew Love. He's leading the way, and on for I think what's going to be his first victory in quite a while in class for him. He's running strong 21st. Bradshaw, bit of a gap between himself and Love right now, so he's sitting comfortably as Love is Bradshaw second in class. Bob Kern currently third as Rice just gaining a couple of places there due to Lisnoy and Batley coming into the pits. Well, 13 minutes complete. It feels like an absolute lifetime out there. We've had so much happen already, and there's more due to happen. As I tell you what, Yang Lin is closing up onto that lead group right now. There's all the 944 there skimming the wall. That's Jeff Cantor. Yang Lin not losing too much behind Cantor. And now you can see he's closing bit by bit. That is the 96 of Walker just ahead of him. He's fallen back a little bit really from his great start that he had early on. But Norman Castro really pulling away, getting some fresh air between them, but it's all about this peloton, the following pack, where it's getting closer and tighter and more competitive. And as we're coming towards the end of the season, what would have been some more niceties, some more gentler and forgiving driving is going out the window bit by bit, because those championship points are really starting to count and they're really on the line right now. These guys are within the same class. There is your leader, Aero Nom with Dudu Castro. What a race the Brazilian is having tonight. He is not just there with Nom, he's taking the fight to him, Andy.
Yeah, he certainly is, and obviously with this slipstream effect is the change in positions. And we watch Castro here on the first of the banking, literally just backing out, not going to the outside, which is probably a wise move, trying to get him on the exit here at the bus stop, just get super close to him going into the entrance to get a really good exit out of this first bus stop to go on to the second. Lost a little bit of time there, but what is interesting is Manny, who was with this group, has backed off quite a bit. He's nearly 2 seconds back, but he is the front of that group from 3 all the way down to P10 at the moment in this big long second peloton that you were mentioning. But Money under a lot of pressure there from Pinero coming into the second bus up. Roseborough there in 5th place, tucked up behind as well, but it's anyone's guess at the moment. These front two sort of trying to scamper away a bit at the moment. Literally just on the cusp of that slipstream effect is Marnie at the moment to Castro in 2nd place, but Castro can just look forward at the moment to Nom having that little breathing space behind him to really put a lot of pressure, like you were mentioning, on Nom out in front. So Nom and Castro out front at the moment, but the chasing group of Manny all the way down to Fritcher really chasing hard to try and close that gap down.
I'm bored with the Tony right now. Just 24 places he's managed to pick up since the start. 24 places, your highest climber. Mino, who was following through with him, and those two were working together, he's down in 19th, few places behind. He's only up 22 places only. Richard Coffrey, he's on a cracker as well as Bertoni. Actually made that 25 now. He's just got past Todd Hansen for 15th overall. Coffrey, he's up 19, and well, poor outing from him. Shabby numbers, really.
Yeah, it's a bit shabby. Less than double figures. You've not done well in Spec Racing Ford. But no, I mean, I think he got, Andreas Bertoni got actually about 7 places off that start grid, so had an excellent start, you know, considering he was
Walker's into the pit. But I tell you what, Panero, I tell you what, he may well have got done for speeding there, because he came careering into the pits, everything locked up, every anchor going thrown out, and I'm not sure if he is going to have an infringement there. Well, I tell you what, I think he might well have done, because I've just watched him drop down through the order, and that's not looking good for him. Walker, there he is trundling down the pits, but that is, I tell you what, I think that was Pinero ahead of him there, so I think Pinero may have abandoned it and towed the car to try and shave off the penalty that way. But either way, a night to forget for Marco Pinero. Well, he's out of the car. That does not look good there.
No, it
for the
doesn't.
Italian.
No, it doesn't. But I mean, I was mentioning that coming around 10-14, extremely fast corner, and then that pit lane comes right on top of the drivers. So if the drivers haven't really practiced that pit lane entry, as we saw there, literally tire smoking to try and stop the car, it might catch out quite a few drivers, and looks like it has caught a few of the top runners at the moment. But as we drive on board with Marnie, he's got Roseborough just tucked up behind him at the moment. Must be feeling the pressure from behind as Marnie losing even more time to the front runners. Currently 3.1 seconds behind Castro in second place. So these front two are starting to pull out a
no,
little bit.
Roseborough's gone, and there's a big incident in the background there. And that is the 44, Nicelli. He got caught up with a 22 there of Matthias Weiger. And I was just seeing that incident, Roseborough losing in the foreground. I only just caught out in the background, at the corner of my eye, that big incident happening there. And wow, Andy, well, we ride on board with Roseborough. Let's take a look at what happened to him. So, is this just going to be a bit too much curve, a bit too much aggressive with them? Yes, it was. Round he goes. And that incident is already happening. Was it? Well, Zhang Jilin.
I think it was a separate incident there from behind.
Well, Lin seemed to be checking up a bit there, which does make me wonder whether he was doing that because of Roseborough losing it. So here's from the Selly's point of view. And let's take a look. So they're all bouncing. Well, already. Well, they all lost it by themselves.
All three of them synchronizing, hitting the wall at the same time. Literally, I said at the start, them curbs are absolutely treacherous. Certainly in a car like this, if you hit it too much, as you can see the guys going over the curbs, it's just literally bouncing off on two wheels. And because that's quite a quick turn coming out of the last one in turn number 16 to go over the start-finish line, you know, it's even more important you try not to take as much curb.
Andy, Lynn is into the pits. Likewise is Jeff Fritcher as well. But look who's in 9th place. Wow, where's he made all these places up from? Battoni now at 31.
Amiga 31 places. I mean, he's just having a drive, isn't he? I mean, you said at the start, though, mate, you said he'll be at the back, but watch him come through the field, and he has done exactly that.
He has indeed. Mino, he's at 28 places. They are going to drop a few due to pit stops, but even so, they're not going to drop a dramatic amount. It's all these incidents in front of them that's brought them right back into things, as there is McCain in full attack mode. That is Gaston in the 77 ahead of him. So Amino even, and well, so those two are yet to pit, so those two are there on merit. On the road, Lynn and Walker both have pitted. They are ahead of them. So Lynn has got the jump on Walker, interestingly, but they have come out quite close together by stopping 2 laps apart. McAreevy, he's running well up into 6th place. We are just over half race distance. Things haven't even got remotely close to calming down, and you just get the feeling it's just going to intensify bit by bit, little by little, more by more throughout this race. Dom leads from Castro by 7/10 of a second. There is a 3-second gap between Castro and Marnie, who's now in a much more comfortable world of his own. I think he's going to be enjoying that, looking good and strong to secure that 3rd place overall. Roseborough now just about 2.4 seconds behind Marnie. Oh, that's someone off in the wall. I think that's Jesus Rodriguez having a bit of an excursion there as Battoni into the pits, which means Overstreet's she is yet to
What's she doing? That's an unorthodox pit entry there if I've ever seen in my life. I mean, that is yeah, I'll just use this access road halfway down the start finish. That's quite impressive. I'll be surprised. I will be surprised if they don't get disqualified for doing that, because I do remember when I did a GT3 race around here, and I literally missed my pit stop, so I decided to stop and reverse back. But that was an extreme unorthodox. As we let's have a look at a replay of this brand new pit entry here coming in. So there's a normal pit entry on the left-hand side. Literally makes a mistake, hits the wall. Never mind the Wall of Champions of Canada. I think this needs to be renamed Wall of Champions. As you see there, and decides to use the alternate pit entry halfway down it. So, yeah, I never knew that existed. Crazy.
part of the short oval there that's like an incredibly short oval by short oval standards. And well, that is, you think you see everything in commentary, you know, there's not a lot you haven't seen, then someone comes up with something brand new just to dumbfound you and really challenge the question, have you seen everything? But I tell you what, up in front, Castro, I think he's made a bit of a mistake somewhere, because he's dropped to 2 seconds behind Aeronom. So they go that last lap, drops 1.1 seconds over our leader. Could well be that Marcus playing a part of that story. It has brought him a bit closer to Yogmani, but he's still a further 2 seconds behind Castro right now. Our top 5 are all yet to pit. Highest runners of the pitters are, so it is Walker and Lynn, who's just behind them. Those two have traded places. Walker up into 6th overall, Lynn 7th. Wilson behind them, yet to pits. Likewise, Mino is yet to pits. Neither is McCain, either the Northern Irish driver, 10th overall right now. But I tell you what, Wilson is leading Spec 2, although he is yet to pit, and also, I mean, I'll look through as well. So McCain leaving Spec 2, even. And Bradshaw leading the way in Masters, but he is yet to pit. Andrew Love, who was leading early on, also yet to pit. And wow, still to quite shake themselves down as Lynn is getting close to coming past Walker, as we've got this battle happening on screen right now. Everyone ducking, diving, dodging. That is Hansen at the rear of these two cars in front of him, which is Lesnoy and Bob Corkin. And here comes Hansen looking for the cheeky, opportunistic move up the inside. Has to break out. There's a lot of smoke ahead. Someone's off the road on the left-hand side. I think that's Vogel off there. It's always a daunting moment when you're coming into a corner that's, you know, a blind entry, and even halfway around the corner it's still incredibly blind, and you can see a big plume of smoke ahead, and you can't quite work out where it's coming from or where that car is going to be when you arrive there.
I think you have to use the force when you're in that situation and just try to be on your toes, like you said, like have eyes all over your helmet, like to be able to see what's going on. I mean, it's just been a war of attrition at the moment out on here. A lot of the corners, certainly that last bus stop is catching a lot of drivers out. That's caused a lot of incidences for even some of the top names we saw earlier on, about 4 of the top drivers all in synchronicity coming out of this last bus stop, just hitting that wall on the right hand side on the exit. So it's put pay to a lot of races, and it just happens all of a sudden. It's like the calm, everything's calm, and then all of a sudden it just blows up in your face, as we saw that incident earlier on. But it's still not over. 25 minutes into a 40-minute race. Lap number 18, Aeronom is your current leader out on track. Managed to get a bit more of a gap over Castro, 2 seconds now, so I think Castro has possibly given up on that race win and trying to secure the 2nd place. Jorgmani is in 3rd place, pretty much on his own, 4 seconds behind Castro, but Rosberg is about 8.7 seconds behind Mani. So Mani at the moment in sort of no man's land, just dealing with a few back markers, which can always be add a little bit of treacherous. And you just saw there in the background Rosberg coming around the corner. So this front end of the field really been shaken up at the moment. I mean, the top 4 still owe us a pit stop. Lynn is the one that has the top of the pit stops in P5, but the top 4 still owe us that. But I mean, it's just decimated the field, and all the close battles we were having, Tim, have sort of been dissipated by all the incidents we've had.
I'll tell you, it's definitely that way right now, as Castro has clawed in a bit of time to none. Gap has, you know, dropped by about half a second. Most of that coming on that last lap prior, lap 17, where he took 3 tenths out of him. Taking a further couple of tenths out of him this time around. Traffic starting to play a part of the story here at the Roval. The 27 minutes of racing complete out at the 40. So we're still waiting on our leaders to pit. They've still got quite, you know, fair few minutes. Drivers can pit anywhere all the way up to and including about the 36th, 37th minute. On how much of the motion lotion in the cars they have decided to use. But I tell you what, still plenty of battles happening, just like this one. We can see right now, Vogel with in the middle of Hansen and Weiger right behind him as Vogel. Well, going to the high line, because I do believe we're going to see Matthias Weiger. There he comes, hop up the inside, and was conceding a place. But even so, as I tell you what, there's all nearly a bit of contact there between Vogel and Weiger going for his second overtake in as many corners. He's going to get the move done, but Hansen straight onto the power there to pull his car back alongside. Isn't going to quite do it. Will he dip back into the slipstream? No, he's still too much ahead to be able to do so, and needs to be careful now because Vogel just behind them could well launch an attack. Hansen just dips back onto the racing line, onto the brakes. They all go. Are they going to make it through when so many tonight haven't? Yes, they do. About to start another lap as Lynn and Walker still battling it out. Those two trailing 5th and 7th place as Roseborough is into the pits. Where is he going to come out in relation to Lynn and Walker? That remains to be seen. And to anything, I think he may well come out behind them, and this could be a masterstroke here from Lynn and Walker with an early stop, whereas the others have gone much later.
Yeah, the cars are stationary around about 10 seconds in the pit lane, so I mean it is quite a long pit lane, so we'll just see if Lynn and Walker can actually gain a few positions over Roseborough here. Still stationary there as they were coming through the last stop, so he's just set off now, so I think he has lost a few positions. Could be close. Oh, spins it on the exit. He will certainly lose places now.
Yeah, I tell you what, it was close, and it was going to be tight where he would have come out right in a battle with Lynn and Walker, but that is now done and dusted. You can get the black marker of death out. Once again, another driver to be crossed out of a battle. He's hearing, he knows he's bouncing the car off the rev limiter, knows that those two can see him on the outside, and just, well, too much. You know, I was going to say too much too soon there, Andy, really, wasn't it, from Roseborough?
It was. I mean, he knew exactly where he was going to come out and was just trying to do. As we see, Gaston, our second highest mover of the day. Looks like he's had an incident there, coming out on. But a very strange place to have an incident, coming out onto the bank. Is that after the first stop?
No, I think that's even before. That's coming out to the oval the first time. So let's take a look. He's going to clip that wall on the outside. Oh. Yes, he does.
Damage car, is that? Front right on.
It looked like front right suspension. He's going to lose a ton of places. Your leaders are in. Nom, Castro, Marnie, all in. Linus, Stern into their pit boxes. Cars bouncing off the rev limiters. But I tell you what, Castro looks like he's gained a bit of time on Nom in the round of pit stops. Now, they're going to come out well ahead. But where is Marnie going to come out in relation to Lynn? And, well, there you go. He just out in front in the nick of time in front of Lynn and Walker. And that is a master stroke there from Marnie. Equally as well, as I think he's taken a bit of time as well out of our leader, Aero Nom, who didn't have the quickest of the pit stops by his own standards.
Yeah, 4 tenths.
Walker's off. Walker's off. I've just seen in the background there, Andy. There he goes. Just carried straight on there at turn 6. And I think this is where they're drivers just pushing that bit too hard.
Quite possibly. Look, coming through here, it just loses it onto the entry, and you've really got to take that inside line for that corner because it does throw you out, and literally was on the outside of the corner and literally had nowhere to go but on the grass. So not the best of corner entries there, losing a few positions. So well called there, Tim, in the background. So you've certainly got fly eyes tonight, seeing all the incidents in the background. But Norman Castro had an exceptional stop there. Oh, who's that? That is Gaston, but extremely slow. I mean, obviously we did see him have that possible front right damage, but clearly has had another incident out on track.
Well, it's going slow anyway. Moves across to the right of the track. This is potentially a hardware failure. Is he going to catch a car on the way through? No, just having a few maybe connection issues there, but Well, right now, back to live pictures, back to the action, back to the battle for third, because Lynn is all over Yorgmani like a rash right now. And both of them getting a bit squirrely there, Andy, and they're both pushing this, and they want it incredibly badly.
Yeah, exactly what you're saying. The cars are really pushing it out on track at the moment. Lynn there getting a little bit squirrely coming out of that turn number 7. In fact, Marnie didn't do a particularly good job coming out there, so these two are absolutely on the limit. Lynn right up to the back of Marnie here into the first bus stop. Just needs to try and get a really good exit out of this corner, but Marnie looks like he's got a decent one as well, so it's status quo, as it were, with Lynn trying to use that slipstream to get past Marnie here for that third place. So Marnie was out on his own, but like you said, Lynn and Walker had a masterstroke. Unfortunately, Walker had a slight issue, as we saw earlier on, which put him off the battle, but Lynn is right up there with this group, the top group, and is looking at that third place of Yorgmani in front of him to take the last spot on the podium, and I wouldn't put it past him as well, Tim.
I wouldn't either. As we're onto the board with Lynn right now, and you can see them both feathering the throttle, and Marnie struggling for grip in these latter stages of the races. We have got 6 minutes remaining. That is it here from round 11, the SRF Weekend Warriors, presented by RaceVoice. And we have really got a battle on our hands for third overall right now between Marnie and Lynn. And the other classes, Antonio Rice, well, had that incident on the opening lap, as we're going to see Lynn take control of third place ahead of Marnie for now. What can he do now? He's finally in front of the Swiss driver. Tony Rice seems to be fell pretty much to the back of the field after that spin on the opening lap. He's done well. He's recovered all the way back up to 11th and is leading in class. That is an astounding result from the Portuguese driver. And then we have got Alan McCain leading in Spec 2. He's on for a really strong result, and he'll be desperate to hold on to that one. And half off the advances of Matthias Weiger right now, the Spec 1 driver. So these two different classes. But even so, it's all about those positions overall right now. And there's a bit of a stray cone there across the track. 5 minutes left remaining. Non-comfortable out in front from Castro. 1.8 seconds. 3 temps separating third and fourth. 3 temps separating 7th and 8th right now. So we're on board with our leader, Aero Nom, who just needs to close this one out. Needs to bring it home, but we have seen mistakes from Nom so far this race, haven't we, Andy? So we know he's not infallible.
No, we definitely don't, but I mean, he does have a little bit of a buffer of 2 seconds behind him, so doesn't need to push as much as, say, the likes of Lynn and Marnie, who are pushing to the absolute limits at the moment. But Antonio Reis, I mean, if only is sort of the phrase that comes to mind. You know, like you said, was at the back of the grid after that incident on the opening laps, and somehow, and I don't know how, it's just astounded me how he's managed to get up to P11th, leading the Masters. I think he was around about 5th or 6th in the Masters after his spinning incident, but has managed to recover amazingly well and is currently up in 11th place. I don't know how the man has done it.
Oh, there's
a bit of an incident there in turn 1.
I think that was Vogel and Burkett both getting caught up and entangled with one another. Luckily, the way the circuit sort of comes back together and is only separated by a wall there. Oh no, that's McCain off in the lead of Spec 2, and he's lost it because he's got Lesnoy and Hansen have now got ahead in class for what looked like a strong position. So he's just cracked under the pressure from Matthias Weiger.
I think he has. Yeah. Oh. Just lost it there coming, didn't he? Lost it coming through turn number 6, was snaking into the corner, and then worst possible scenario, he actually spun the car in the corner into there, so lost the place. And like you were saying at the start of the broadcast, Tim, you know, I don't think Alan McCain can actually buy some luck in this spec race. Ford was on for a good finish here, but unfortunately a self-imposed spin has put paid to that.
tell you what, if he didn't have any bad luck, he would not have any luck whatsoever. Yes, well, are things settling down? Well, this is SRF Weekend Warriors. You know full well it is not. We have got 2.5 minutes left on the clock here from round 11. And who is going to pick up that last podium place overall? Is it going to be Lynn? Is it going to be Marnie? There's only 1.5 cents separating the pair of them. If you're Marnie, Andy, what do you do? Do you just sit behind, wait this one out and wait for the last lap?
Well, I mean, Yogamani is probably in the most optimal position here. He can actually put a little bit of pressure on Lynn, see where Lynn is slower around the track and be able to use that slipstream to his maximum effect to make the attack. I mean, I think that's probably what's going through Marnie. Oh! Another one again coming out of the last bus stop there. Car stranded, spun it in front, and again, Kern spun it, and again, a couple of cars getting in incidents. So that last bus stop there, Tim, has caused absolute havoc amongst the field.
When he comes across the line, he will be taking the white flag here in Charlotte. Just needs to bring it home. 2.5 seconds, the advantage that he has over Dudu Castro, who's had an amazing race, the Brazilian. Where has that result come from? It's clearly been within him all this time. We've seen those glimmers of hope, of racecraft, enough pace, but it's all come together here finally for him. And then we've got that enthralling battle for third that's still going on. Fritcher also locked in a battle too, with Jerry McAreevy in the bat for 7th. We've got Antonio Rice leading Masters, Bradshaw and Batley rounding out the podiums. Great recovery from Batley as well, and Bradshaw. Both those two look down and out early on as Yogamani clipping the wall. The white flag in the air. 1 lap left to go here from the Roval. And it is game on. 3 attempts separating the battle for third between Lynn and Marnie right now. What damage has Marnie undertaken? Runs it a bit wide, tries to open up the corner against Lynn. Lynn using all the track, getting right up and close, personal with the grass as we head now through into turns 5. Around he goes, and that's game over, and that is surely going to hand third place to Lynn. And you can see the way he was just opening up the corners and taking those wide lines, trying to carry all the momentum he possibly could around the corners. It's all come undone for him, but well, with the bus stop left to go and then the final chicane, Nom just needs to bring this one home and he will secure another victory for the season. To get us up close and personal to the wall. He's got a back marker ahead of him. Just trying to catch who that is. I'm not too sure, but well, it's been comfortable for him for so much in this race. And Aeronom is going to claim, provided he can get it through the final chicane. Yes, he can. He is your winner here from Charlotte Roval in round 11, the SRF Weekend Warriors, presented by RaceVoice. Castro second, Lynn picks up third as Antonio Rice, he's going to come across the line to pick up the Masters win. A great recovery from the Portuguese driver. Looked dead and out after the first lap, falling to the back of the field. What a drive from him. The early pit stop all the way back on lap 6. We're currently on lap 26. Give you some perspective. What a recovery it's been from him. Spatoni crosses the line. He's made up 32 places. As Antonio Rice, well, is gently coming across the line. And I'm not too sure. No, he's got enough fuel on board, but just playing it safe to get that car home. Bradshaw's going to pick up second in class. Lesnoy still out there battling, but looking like he is going to pick up at first place in Spec 2. Yes, he does. McCain, wow, closing stages. He's managed to get past Hansen, who's dived into the pits. He's had an incident on the final lap as Todd Hansen. It's all gone wrong for him at the final depth after all that racing, 40 minutes. Here he is, right on board with him right now. Another victim in the curbs, Andy?
I think so.
No.
Oh, no, it's not. He just completely lost it coming in. Them tyres screaming that they had no grip, and he literally could see it as he entered into the corner. He just spun the car around. So, you know, his loss is another driver's gain, and that's unfortunate. But, I mean, Castro, you were mentioning there, I mean, I think it all started from an absolute perfect qualifying from him. Started 4th overall on the grid and then just carried it on through the race. So yeah, certainly a great drive there from Castro, you mentioned.
Definitely here on your classified results from round 11. The SRF Weekend Warriors presented by RaceVoice Aeronom picking up the victory here at the Roval. Dudu Castro, what a drive from the Brazilian into second. Yang Jilin, well, the records will show that it looked like he comfortably picked up third. It was anything but the mistake from Jorgmani preventing us from a last lap grandstand of a finish in that battle for third. Walker, in the end, comes home fifth. Roseborough sixth. He would have been there too by mistakes. Jeff Richards seventh. Andres Bertoni comes home in eighth, up an incredible 32 places. What a finish from the Uruguayan. Jerry McAreevy into 9th, Evandro Dantas 10th, then your winner in Masters, Antonio Rice in 11th, Wilson 12th, Megan Overstreet, a great drive and only a second outing in the car. She comes home 13th, Bradshaw, second in class 14th, Les Noy, your winner in Spec 2, Jesus Rodriguez 16th, McCain, second in Spec 2 in the end due to that incident from Hansen. He finishes 17th with Batley rounding out your podium in Masters and 18th overall. 19th was Love Gradwell rounding out your top 20. Then Santiago picking up that last place on the podium in Spec 2 with Hansen and Viger being last cars to finish on the lead lap and taking it to 23rd. Then we got Coffey, Cantor, Walbot, Cox, Nunez, Cohen, Sanchinelli to round out your top 30. Then Mino in the end, that incident costing him dearly because he had climbed a lot of places. In the end, it was just the casual 10. Nothing else to write home about there at all. Marcus Burkett 32nd when Vogel and Kern finishing 4 laps down. Then into the retirements. Well, it's been one to forget. 4 retirements from Italians in a row. Nicelli we lost on lap 12. Panero we lost on lap 11. Those two been battling with Nom for the championship. Not the round they would have been hoping for. Lanoy we lost on lap 5. Likewise Paolo Gori as well. Stevie Rowe we lost him on lap 3 with Joaquin Effinger. Jason Green we lost him. He finishes 41st but he lost him lap 2. Gomez we lost on the opening lap and unfortunately Brownlee did not make the start. Let's have a bit of a chat to some of our drivers. Well, first up, what can we say? Chat to our race victor here today, Aero Nom. Aero, I mean, all of your competitors just seem to fall by the wayside through their own mistakes. I mean, we saw you make a very rare mistake by your own standards early on. It's quite tricky out there today.
Yeah, it was much slippier than the practice. Even in the official week, it was much colder, and the practice was colder, like 20 degrees. So, yeah, it was very slippery.
And we're just sort of looking back to pictures of the start right now. I mean, a different face for you to be battling with. Dudu Castro was there, really fighting with you hard. Was it a little bit of more of a challenge for you because it's someone you're not used to normally racing against?
Yeah, maybe, and also my setup was different. I noticed I'm losing maybe half a second in the first sector, so yeah, it was quite difficult to keep them behind. So it was a tough challenge.
Definitely, and well, before we let you go, Aero, anyone you want to give a shout out to at all?
Yeah, I'd like to thank all the drivers, the admins, the sponsors, and you guys there in the boat.
Absolute pleasure. That is Aero Nom, your victor here today from the Charlotte Roval. Andy, who have you managed to grab for a bit of a chat?
I've got Dudu Castro in the box with us today. Welcome to the box here, Dudu. A great qualifying for yourself to set you up for a really good place in the race, and you managed to keep it through. How was that race for you, mate?
Oh, hi Andy. Hi Johnny. Man, it was a tough race for me for two reasons. The first reason, I'm out of my air conditioning right now, so I'm melting. I'm melting like an ice. And the second reason, my left ear just stopped on the earphone just stopped on the lap 2. So it was kind of strange to drive just to hear by the right ear, but well, it is what it is. I had to play with that. It was tough for me because I was trying to not lose my focus. I had a good pace, but my car was warming more than should the rear tires, and I was playing with my brake bias a lot to see if I could cool down a bit. I did that. Then I starting to close the gap again for Eron, but Eron is tough to follow because he never makes a mistake. So I try to do my best, but yeah, that's what I had today.
Yeah, I mean, we just heard Aaron on there saying that the track was extremely slippy today. Did you find the same effects there, and that's why you were changing your brake bias?
Yes, well, just to have an idea, I was at the end of the race. I was 6 clicks up on the brake, 6 clicks forward to the front wheels from the qualifying to the race. So I was like almost changing each 3 laps to try to compensate the temperature. I had a good set. I think I was doing the chicane easier than Eero, but Eero was doing the midfield better than I was doing. Probably different setups, behavior. So, but it was good. It was good. It was fun. I need to go to shower because I'm a wet guy right now. But it was good, man. It's good. Really good race.
Well, I won't keep you from that shower because I know not having air conditioning when it's absolutely baking is the worst feeling in the world. But before we let you go, mate, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
No. I think the one that we always need to thank is Steve to make this league ready for us. I felt bad for this season that I just could race twice. Sometimes it's tough for me to schedule during my afternoon time and Sunday, but today I could. I'm by myself just with my kid, no wife's here, so that's why I could do that. I love my wife, but sometimes it's tough to handle both things. But the rest was fine. It was fine, and of course you guys do the best broadcast in the community, in the iRacing and everything. You guys are the best. It's the best show that you guys provide to everyone. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Dudu, and a great second place overall for you. And I agree with you. The long-haired generals rule the roost. So luckily that she was out so you could race this track. But good luck in the next round if you can make it.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you.
So that was Dudu there. Finished second overall. Tim, have you got anyone stood by?
I most certainly have indeed. Now joined by Alan McCain. Alan, wow, I was only saying in the build-up, I covered a race which you were in on Friday night, and you had a cracking result there. And whether you could, transition that across today, well, it nearly all came together. I mean, it's even so, walking away here with a second in class, I believe it was. It's still not a bad result at all.
No, it's quite a few points I needed to gather up, considering the bad season I've had so far.
It has been a real sort of season of turmoil where you just I think Andy said it during commentary, that you haven't even been able to buy any luck, and literally the only luck you've seemed to have had this season has just purely been bad luck. This is just purely a lot of the time just being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah, it's quite easy to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, which was most of it. There was a few of them was my silly mistakes, but today I was lucky to get away with second because Todd spun it in the last chicane, or not the first chicane, or the chicane on the back of the oval, which granted me second, which I was sort of kicking myself because I had spun it the previous lap and lost. But hey ho, I finished where I finished, and it's points that I needed.
Well, I suppose coming into this race, if someone had told you, you're going to walk away with a second, you would have been happy with that one. I mean, just looking ahead across to, next week, well, it's one hell of the notorious bumpy track that is Sebring. How do you fancy your chances there?
I really like Sebring. Either of the layouts. I really like.
No worries. And well, Alan, good luck for tomorrow. We'll see you then. Andy, I understand you've managed to grab one last driver for a quick chat.
I have indeed. We have Antonio Reese here, obviously top place in the Masters. So, Antonio, start of the race, had a slight incident, put you to the back of the field. But, I mean, what a sterling effort from yourself to get from the back of the field to 11th overall in this race. Just talk us through it.
Hey, good night, guys. Good night, everyone. Thanks for having me here. Yeah, it was, well, I don't know what to say. It was a kind of an adventure situation where the car spins. I got a problem with the draft, and then I brake too late, the brakes lock, and then I tried to not hit anyone and stay out of the way, but I got some crashes, some guys beating me accidentally, and then I got damage on the car, and I tried to pit as early as possible to get a fast repair, and then was just putting laps as fast as I could to try to recover as much as I could. Yeah, it was basically was the race. It was nice. I saw some other incidents, and I spin a second time, so today was not my day for sure.
No, it wasn't at the start, but I mean, obviously it came good at the end and just shows you with perseverance you can get through this field quite well. I mean, we got obviously the last round of the season coming up next week. How are you feeling for that round?
Oh well, I hope to race to have a good one, and then to try to get some points and try to get ahead on the Masters. Well, we will see. That's the
definitely.
desire, but
It's going to be down to the last race in that Masters Championship. But thanks for joining us in the box, Antonio.
Thank you very
Is there
much.
anyone you like to give a shout out before we let you go, mate?
oh, for my mate Steve Ray, the great guy, and for the sponsors, the RaceVoice, for you guys broadcasting, and for the viewers, the drivers, and for Manny. Manny always helped me on the setup and putting some good laps.
Definitely. Thanks for joining us in the box. And
I
unfortunate
thank
start in
you.
the race, but a great end to
Yeah.
it. So look forward to seeing you next week, mate.
Okay, guys, take care. Bye.
There was Antonio. Obviously, a great comeback for him in that race. But, I mean, what a war of attrition, Tim.
It's been an absolute war of attrition. I think you summed that up nicely there, Andy. It's been the real battle of the Roval. Just going on right now on Apex Racing TV is IGP Fun with Austin and Seb. They're currently on lap 23 out of 37 for Road Atlanta. Perez leading away comfortably by 6 seconds there. Some cracking battles happening, but well, what a battle it has. It's been a battle of attrition, and well, do we expect any less for Tony? At 32 places, if you need to describe the Weekend Warriors in one sentence, that sums it up nicely. Thanks for joining us. I've been Tim Cox with Andy Thompson and Jeff Bowski, and we'll see you in a week's time when the SRF Weekend Warriors heads to Sebring.